It's time to rock and roll!
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press TV show Hangouts. We'll be talking about an entire season of television today. We don't do that very often, but it's just a very special occasion because we have wonderful friends over at Adult Swim
Mhm.
and to be able to talk about My Adventures with Superman season two. We talked about the first season and the season premiere, the first two episodes of this season, with my co-host Universa.
Hey, how's it going? Good to talk to you about this season, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, off the bat, like we have not been shy about being fans of the show. And
Right.
basically every week I watch the show, I'm like, oh, that was great. Or oh, that was
Yeah.
sick. Or I really like this edition. Or I really like this actor, this voice actor.
Yeah. They had me at the Sailor Moon animation sequence.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they've had me since that first moment in the first season too, where Superman gets a magical girl transformation. And that is not a criticism. That is literally the greatest thing ever. Um, we're gonna talk full
Yeah.
spoilers just because you should watch the show. That's the
Mhm.
recommendation you should know going into this. And we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about it because I think part of the reason why this show is so good, even outside of just being a Superman adaptation, is that it's a lot of fun. And I don't mean like in a flippant, like, like it's fun. Go watch it. You'll enjoy it. Like that is true too. But I
Right.
do
Yeah.
think the writing is quite strong. The
Mhm.
performances are very good. The animation, especially with the fights, is really great.
Yeah.
Um,
Very innovative. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, Brainiac was the villain this season, the primary antagonist
Mhm.
this season. Last season it was kind of like it was
I guess it
Amanda
was.
Waller
Yeah, it was Amanda Waller
and
and all that.
Parasite. Parasite's kind of like the reveal of
Right.
the
Yeah.
the the primary antagonist, which is still, I think that final fight with Parasite is still the peak of the show.
That was great.
Yeah,
Loved it. Loved it.
yeah. This season, Gene, I guess favorite thing about this season. We could just start there. What do you got? Or favorite things. It doesn't have to be like a specific thing, but favorite. And I want to talk least favorite because I actually I think I have some questions is all.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think like favorite thing about this season was just how they like integrated the rest of the DC universe without making it feel like the synergy of like shared universe. We're gonna do spin-offs of all these characters. But yeah, they chose characters. I think like, they just worked for the story. I mean, it did hit at a larger universe, but it's like it's a very I wouldn't say subtle, but it just feels organic, where it's like Vicky Vale's there because like Lois is considering moving to Gotham because of a job offer. Um, and but there's no mention of like, oh, is she dating like Bruce Wayne or Batman? It's just like she's just there. Or you have like Mala and the Marine without having them be a part of like Doom Patrol or I forgot the villain. They're part of like the Legion. I think they're just called the Legion. Yeah. In the comics. But yeah, it just felt like it was hinting at a larger universe. And it's just like, yeah, we're just going to use these characters. And I love Supergirl. Supergirl was great this season. She was it was a very unique take. Where she's basically getting the spoilers brain controlled by Brainiac. She had her whole life controlled by him, taken away. And I really enjoyed how they handled her. So I thought the way that they used the characters was, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point because so often with these sort of property adaptations now, it's like, okay, we'll do the origin, and then in the sequel, we'll introduce these new characters for like
Right.
spin-offs or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's, I even like some of these things I'm going to mention, but like that's Iron Man 2, that's
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman,
Right.
that's
Half the
uh
comic book movies. More
that's
than half.
Daredevil season 2,
Yeah.
that's the second season of Arrow. Talk about things I actually really, really like,
Yeah. Yeah. But
like
it's
that's
yeah.
where the Arrowverse comes from, and it's like
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so I worry about that, and
Yeah.
um, I am very glad to see that it looks like it's not going to be My Adventures with Supergirl is going to be a separate show. It's just like, oh, she is now part of the cast.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, it's just like it just worked. Or they have Steel. which was great. John Henry
Hmm.
Irons, famously played by Shaquille O'Neal in the 90s. But yeah, it was like, it also just like, I love having him and the other characters help out in the finale. Deathstroke's there. It's just because Brainiac invades. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like the least favorite aspect of this I felt was kind of some of the extended storylines, like towards the end. It felt like it got a little repetitive with some of the plot stuff with Brainiac because he constantly just like, it feels like not like he's undefeatable. It's just like, okay, like the same beat of like, okay, now you take someone's brain over, you take someone's mind over, and then it's like, oh, he escaped, but it's like, oh, not really. He's still in the simulation. So I felt like some of the storytelling got a little repetitive from episode to episode where it kind of hit the same beats, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have an issue with that. I thought that for pacing purposes that worked.
Yeah.
I will say I think it got very busy at the end
Yeah, it was very
to the point where like none of it is even like less than satisfactory.
uh
It's just like, and this is a streaming show problem. There's another show we're going to talk about on our show later this month, probably.
Okay, for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
that I think, regardless of individual quality discussions, like the streaming network thing of like 8 to 10 episodes, people need to stop that. It's got to be
Yeah.
12 to 24 episode seasons. I understand
Each week.
there's logistics
Uh-huh.
and workers' rights that has to be sorted out for that, but just pay your workers. It'll be worth it, I promise.
Yeah.
Um, 8 to 10 episodes doesn't do it for me anymore, unless you're like Stranger Things and you're doing like movie length episodes.
Yeah.
Like you have eight 8 to 10, no more, no more. Okay, and I
Uh-huh.
think this season kind of suffered from, in the finale especially, like so much is happening, and like I
Yeah.
loved that everyone, like I kind of teared up when everyone comes to help Superman out again. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just, maybe that's the show's secret weapon. Anytime someone does that, like a
Yeah.
group of characters do that, it just gets me emotional.
Uh-huh.
Um, but when he says like the people that like had previously all tried to kill him, or like, I think they're our friends. It's like that could like not work if
Yeah.
you linger on it too long, because it's like, well, I don't know if they're your friends, but like, they don't want to
Yeah.
die, so let's all
Yeah.
save the day. But
Yeah.
very sweet and very like um touching that the show understands that, like, no, it's not like these criminals for hire who are the real threats to society. It's sort of like the people that employ them, and
Yeah. The
people
higher.
like Lex Luthor who, have an interest in capital and
Uh-huh.
weaponry and prejudice, right?
Yeah.
But part of the least favorite thing is just like, by the end, it's like Lois and her dad's story is such a predominant part of the first half of the season
Uh-huh.
that when he comes back to help Superman, that's great. And him and Superman never have a conversation. I was like, okay, strange. And then he also doesn't have a conversation with Lois, but he
Yeah.
makes amends with Amanda Waller, which I'm
Right.
I'm like fine with, because like now
Uh-huh.
that we know a season 3 is happening,
Yeah.
we can explore that further, and I'm sure that will also be explored further because these
Uh-huh.
writers have totally earned our trust.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think those characters needed to come to men's a
Interact.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's like in was it like an Infinity War, where the Hulk and Thunderbolt Ross are in scenes together and they just never interact at
Yeah,
all. I
I
wouldn't say it's that bad, but it was a
no, no, no.
little, yeah, it felt like they were very pressed for time. It looked
Hmm.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
which is, yeah.
yeah, and maybe I'll give you even uh more credence to your criticism about like, and Brainiac kind of just has like a lot of like backup plans, which part of it like works because like Brainiac's so
Super,
smart and whatever, right?
right.
And he's like, oh, like it looks like they're gonna defeat Brainiac. And he's like, I got this one thing. It's like, okay, well now they're in space. He's like, aha, but I've actually got another thing. It's like, okay, well we got this. And it's like, aha, we got another thing. It's like, oh, we got and it's just like,
Yeah,
okay, that
yeah, a little
maybe
bit.
maybe you take one of those moments out and you have them defeat him like a minute sooner, and then you get the scene where Clark and Lois reconvene with her dad. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
I was
I
gonna, I was,
think, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was a little much. I was gonna just also say Michael Emerson from Lost as Brainiac, great casting choice.
Yeah, I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah,
I I was so happy. He's a great Brainiac. Now we
he's
don't have
good.
that many,
Yeah,
but he's a very good one.
yeah. Lost
Um,
back on Netflix.
yeah, Lost back on Netflix.
Yeah.
Maybe stay tuned for something on that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Gene knows. Gene
Yeah,
knows.
yeah.
It's not a huge thing. It's just something I started doing, and Gene was like, "Yeah, go for it." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Thank you for the support." Um, yeah, great choice. I think myself and many others thought that Zod was going to be in this season, and it turns out it
Yeah,
was just Supergirl. I am totally fine with that.
right.
I am shocked in a good way for once by the fandom not rioting because it turns out Kara was the one who said they will all kneel last at the end of last
Hmm.
season, right? As the cliffhanger, like, oh, we're doing this next year.
Yeah.
Um, and people weren't like, oh, actually, Zod, that's Zod's line.
It's a
Good
red
job,
herring.
genuinely, good job, everyone, for not
Yeah.
making a big fuss over nothing like that.
Hmm. It was a red herring.
Yeah, red herring and a great red herring. And
Hmm.
I do deeply love that they saved the day with the power of friendship again.
The power
And
of
they hug
friendship. Yeah.
Kara until she turns good. And that is very
That
anime,
was, yeah, it
and
was a
that's
good
awesome.
that was a great scene. Yeah.
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 Um, and
Pretty
I
good.
do just love that they've also got their fill of like super friends at this point where it's like, there's no Justice League, but it's like uh the Brain and uh Monsieur Masala, like they're just buddies who are like, oh, they need our help. Let's go help them. And it was sweet. It was sweet. I don't know. A great season of television, a great show, even with more hiccups this season, I think, than
Yeah.
we recognized in the first. And again, I do think part of that is just the number of episodes. Give them some more. Stop this. Stop this short season nonsense. I'm done with it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Let's definitely do that. Yeah.
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 Gene, final thoughts on the season.
No, I would just say go see it. It's only 20 minutes each episode. You could probably binge the whole season, you know, pretty fast. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah. I will say I checked the last episode because they apparently they produce these seasons back to back, right? And when I heard that, I was like, oh, they're only gonna do two. They got the season 3 announcement like a month or so ago, so I was very happy. And I'm willing to bet they like kind of readied themselves like, well, if we only get 2 seasons, let's make this like let's go all out with the finale, right?
Hmm.
And I'm willing to bet they produced this as a series finale initially because the final season episode, it doesn't do the anime intro. It just says My Adventures with Superman, and then you're back in the action. And it's
Yeah.
like that's a very series finale thing to do. I'm
Hmm.
glad it wasn't the series finale. Really
Season
looking
three.
forward to whenever season 3 comes out. Um, is there anything for happening at Comic-Con for it or no?
Oh,
Do you
they're
know?
just gonna have a panel.
Great. I'm gonna do my best to be there, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you will be too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I will.
Yeah. My Adventures with Superman, great show. Go watch it. Uh, fucking, it's great to just have a Superman show or a Superman story where it's just like, you're not deconstructing anything. It's just you're just telling a Superman story. You can do that, and then you can
Yeah.
deconstruct it later. We don't have any more. We don't need any more deconstructions right now. Just do a good
Deconstructing,
one.
yeah.
There's nothing to deconstruct at this point, so like just keep doing this. Gene, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, G992.
And you can find me all over the Waffle Press with Gene and Matt and the retrospectives, and check out our thoughts on the first season as well. Um, yeah, this was delightful. This is the best. This is my favorite animated show going currently. The wait for season 3 is going to be a little difficult, but
Gonna
until
be
then,
long.
yeah, it's going to be very long. But until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. So take care, everyone. We have been professionally unprofessional.